Hey everybody, Kite here with Kite Talks About, and in this video I'm going to be giving you a description of a new major project I'm going to be embarking on, which is an upgrade to Project Fellstinger, which is my Scorpion enclosure project. So instead of just having a project where the Scorpion enclosure is either heated when it gets too cold or the heat turned off when it gets too warm, I'm going to be upgrading it so that it does more things. The capabilities that it'll have is active cooling, meaning there'll be a fan that'll be circulating the air around it to cool it off. There's going to be water hydration, so when it gets too warm, along with having the fan blowing air around, it's also going to have water spraying the enclosure to help in cooling it down, as well as hydrating the soil, as I'm going to have plants in it to upgrade the look so it looks more attractive to any visitors I may have, and just because it gives more oomph to the enclosures and it gives the scorpions more things to explore and to feel and to crawl over. It gives it more personality for each individual scorpion species that I have. So as you guys can see, there are a lot of components that go into making this project, some of which I don't even have here because various reasons. So one thing that we'll need is our PC power supply, several soil moisture sensors, DHT22s, not DHT11s, DHT22s. You need your digital and analog port expander. Here I have an Atmega rig. You need a DS3231 RTC. Here I have an Elegoo Nano. Now it doesn't matter if you have two Atmega rigs or two Elegoo Nanos or one, different ones. You just need two microcontrollers, an active buzzer, transistors, the DS18 Bravo 20, which is your temperature sensor for your water reservoir. For the Atmega rig, you'll need your FTDI. You'll need an RGB LED. The type that I use is common cathode. A single color LED with the appropriate resistors for both, which is a 10 kilo ohm resistor, so that the LED isn't very bright. And you'll also need that 10 kilo ohm resistor for the DS18 Bravo 20, an LCD to display all the information, a mechanical relay, fans, both low power and high powered. The low power is just for the circulation inside the scorpion enclosure. The high flow fan is for your solid state relay, which isn't pictured here, but you'll need that solid state relay to activate and create the connection between your water heater flanges, which aren't listed here because they are actually inside of the water reservoir, which I'll show you later. You'll need several water solenoids with normally closed, I mean. You'll also need your heat lamps, and you will need these mister devices. Now, as I stated before, not everything is listed because it is a huge project. You also need a water pump, as well as PVC, not PVC, but you'll need vinyl tubing as well. So this is just the beginning of all the stuff that I'll need, and these aren't even the appropriate numbers for all the things, for all of the components necessary for this big old project. So here are the water reservoirs that I have made out of acrylic. Here you have the water heating elements as well, and here's the pump. You'll also need some solid piping to attach to your vinyl tubing. So this I made out of acrylic. The DS18 Bravo 20s will actually have to be inside of both of these tanks. You'll need that because you want this, which is your water heater flange, to turn off once the water temperature hits 160 degrees. Now I say 160 degrees because that is the temperature in which your water will be sterilized. Now mind you, I'm not going to be using water that is out in a river or something. I'm going to be using water that comes from the household. However, because this water will be standing out here for a while, you might get bugs in and whatnot. I want to make sure that I can sterilize it, so in case there is some kind of bacteria, fungus, or whatnot, which will be in here automatically because that's just how nature works. You want to make sure that since this water is going to be staying here, reservoir for a long period of time that you are able to sterilize it. I would say about once a week. So you can't really tell here, but I can clearly see it that this water, this reservoir, I actually did my hand in it, and because the water is already, it was already clean and it was freshly sterilized. By me putting my hand in it, I introduced a lot of bacteria, and it got a little bit cloudy. This one I didn't stick my hand in, and is very clear. I actually just made a sterilization cycle a couple hours ago for both of them. However, this one is still cloudy because there's still all that dead stuff in there. So what I'm going to do is actually have a filter that is going to utilize a pump, and it's going to have the rocks, sand, activated charcoal, and a coffee filter in order to get this cloudiness out. So we don't really want that. We want it to look as crystal clear as reasonably possible. So this is what I'm going to be using. This you can actually make yourself. I just use some acrylic cement, as well as got some plexiglass cuts, and made sure I braced it. However, I noticed here there's some bowing, and that's not because of the heat. That's because all the water is trying to push out. So for future reference, I'll make sure that I have a brace that goes from one side to the other, and I'll hold it together and have it maintain its shape and overall integrity. However, the plexiglass itself is able to withstand high temperatures without melting, failing at all, which is something I could not say for the plastic containers that I originally had for my water reservoirs. So as you can see, there are a lot of different components that go into making this project work, because the end goal of this entire thing, of all of this work, all of this effort that I'm putting behind soldering everything and putting everything together, is to create an environment for my scorpions that is optimal, have it as fully automated as possible. So that's why I'm going to have it with code and troubleshooting the code. I'm going to be having it so it can heat it, it can cool it, it knows the temperature, it knows the humidity, it knows the heat index, it can monitor the cooling of the reservoir, the water level of the reservoir, alert me if it needs to be changed. It via the solenoids, I can actually determine which tanks will get the water. With the sprayers, the misters that I showed you before, instead of just blasting a stream of water inside of the enclosure, you can actually spray it. So by spraying it, even though it's going to be a slight spray, it's a spray nonetheless, you can actually help in cooling it down. So you spread it, you give it a higher surface area, the water higher surface area when you're spraying inside of the enclosure. So once you turn on the fan, a lot more heat can be removed because you have that cooler air going over a wet surface, and then all that heat gets extracted out. And it also helps with the humidity by normalizing the humidity outside of the enclosure as well as inside of the enclosure. So most of the hard work has actually been done. All I have to do is just assemble everything. And it is a big project, but I'm also going to use pieces of the Project Felstinger Revamp project for Project Greenfield, which will be my indoor garden video. It's going to be using some of the same components. And Project Black Gold I actually had a breakthrough with for getting the DS18 Bravo 20s to work on a one-wire bus. So I'll show you guys that in a different video for Black Gold, having everything on a one-wire bus. However, it did take quite a while for me to figure out which pieces of code I needed and didn't need. But as I stated before, we'll talk about that later. My big project beyond this, which is mostly done, I just have to develop the code, which I already know what I want. The biggest thing is getting the terrarium set up. So as I stated earlier in this video, I want to have plants and actually have plants growing, living plants growing inside each scorpion enclosure, and it's to give it more personality as well as give it more life, because right now as it stands, everything looks pretty much dead, and I don't like that. If I don't have to do that, if I don't have to have the enclosures be dead, I would rather not have them be dead. So along with that, speaking of the scorpions, I actually had a death of one of my scorpions. So Echo, which was my baby Asian forest scorpion, was in the middle of molting, and unfortunately he wasn't able to make it. So he passed. It's okay. Things like this happen all the time. So besides the death of Echo, I actually got 3 new scorpions. So I'll show you them in a different video sometime in the future. But one scorpion I got is Tsubaki. Tsubaki is actually an Israeli gold scorpion. I also got Titania, which is a giant South African flat rock scorpion. And I also have the very, very nervous, very skittish Zora, which is a giant hairy scorpion. So I'll be showing you guys all 3 of them in a different video. For right now, I already have them inside of their enclosure, so I'm trying not to bother them until I have to for the sake of the project. But just know that I do have scorpions, new scorpions, and I will be showing you them sometime in the 2-3 weeks from now or so. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe, share with your friends, comment below, hit that like button as well as the bell icon, and please follow me on my Instagram for daily updates on my projects. My Instagram name is my channel name, Kite Talks About. So after I finish this project, which is going to take quite a while, I'm actually going to get into Project Black Gold now that I've made the breakthrough with the DS18 Bravo 20 one-wire bus, as well as working on Project Greenfield, which will be my indoor garden project. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the next video, and I'll see you later. God bless.